every single one of our major customers and minor customers all shut their doors overnight.
You need the right people in the right place at the right time. And sometimes you have the right people in the right place, but at the wrong time.
I've got to keep going forward. I've got to keep looking for revenue streams. I've got to keep looking for growth, keep looking at new ways of doing things.
But, what's the culture like at the business? What do we stand for, the values?
I've got to tick that box on my personal development program I don't really want to be here.
Scaling up a business isn't easy. If it were, we wouldn't have less than 4% of businesses scaling beyond 10 employees or around £1 million turnover level, and less than 1% beyond 50 employees. But the contribution that we make as owner-managers to our economies is immense and should never be underestimated, yet it can be a tough gig for all of us at times. And only other business owners truly understand the challenges that we face. And through ScaleUp Radio, we aim to help make things a little easier. We interview guests who have been where you are now and may have faced some of the challenges that you are facing. And they offer their thoughts and advice on what has worked for them, as well as what didn't. And we've also combined many of the lessons from these interviews and also through working with hundreds of owner managers over the last 10 years or so into a practical scale-up handbook that we've called the Entrepreneurial Scale-Up System, or ESUS. And it's for owner managers like you and me as we navigate our own scale-up journey. And you can order a copy through your favorite online book retailer or by going to all the W's, esusgroup.co.uk, www.esusgroup.co.uk. On this week's episode of ScaleUp Radio, I talked with Doug Anderson, who is a co-founder of DT Studios. And they're a company that work with visual media, so primarily photography and video. And they help businesses with their marketing, helping them to get their brand and their messaging out through the use of visual media. The business was set up in 2019, and Doug then, along with the other co-founder, Terry Livesey, were both working independently as independents, and they realized that they could make a bigger impact if they combined their expertise and services. And as always, there's a lot of ground that we cover in this conversation, and actually the fact that two independents come together to form a business forms a big part of our discussion. And we talk about things also like the value in paying your dues. For Doug, it was wedding photography, not specifically what he wanted to do, but it gave him a great grounding in the industry and built up his expertise. We also talk about how honesty really is the only policy, certainly according to Doug, when it comes to working with your business partner. And by being honest with them and them being honest with you, you can sort out where your individual strengths are, meaning you can make a better plan for the operation of the business. And also why Doug talks about why having a business rhythm for him is so important, even in smaller businesses, and how those regular meetings and feedback sessions are still really important, even when it's just the two of you in the office. And what's really interesting in listening to Doug is the arrangement that exists in the business between him and Terry. And they seem to work very well together, and they also seem to have come from a place of real honesty and trust, as well as finding ways to build in healthy competition. And it's interesting to hear how they cope with potential disagreements, in that they manage to find a way that they can talk about and debate about the facts and the logic rather than necessarily things getting emotional and out of control. So it sounds like a really strong relationship that they have going. So let's go across to Doug and listen to the rest of his story. Right, I'm here with Doug Anderson from DT Studios. So Doug, welcome to ScaleUp Radio.
Thank you very much, Kevin.
DT Studios, then, what's that all about? What do you do, Doug?
Okay, DT Studios do visual media. So that's video production, that's photography, and we like to put it all together as in the name of the company, which is DT Studios Visual Marketing. We call it visual marketing. Because we're not just producing video, we're not just producing nice photographs, we're also helping people with their marketing and driving the businesses forward. And that's really was the whole function of or the whole idea of the company.
Okay, so you're creating, you're doing photography, you're doing video. What other sort of things are you doing?
Marketing. So we're looking at, it might be marketing for social media. So you might be putting together content that you required for social media.
Right.
It might be that you've got a big advertising campaign that you're looking to do, and you want some video produced, some brand videos, some product photography, that sort of thing we do. You might also be looking to get some photography for your website. So yeah, you're building a new website. You want to put all that together. So we can put some photography together for you. We could maybe do some video content that could go on there. You may be looking to engage with clients. If you're looking to improve engagement, which is the main thing today that you really need to start doing. Right. We can help with that. So that might be case studies, that might be testimonials, it might be how-to videos, that sort of thing. So yeah, we have a wealth of ideas and products that we can provide. It's just really about understanding the client's business and then choosing the right avenue for them.
Okay. So you mentioned the client's business. Are there any particular sectors or sizes or particular types of customers that you focus on?
Yeah, my history goes back to manufacturing. I got very, very involved in manufacturing, started out there and understand manufacturing business. As a result, I started in marketing of a manufacturing. We focus a lot on manufacturing and engineering. I know what they need. I know what they want. So being able to produce the photography, video, and helping them with their marketing and understanding their marketing, it's really, it's second nature to me. So yeah, that's where I focus. And Terry tends to, the other side of the business is really with local authorities. And that sort of things, we're very good with that. So yeah, we'll focus on helping county councils, local councils, that sort of thing with whatever needs they have for photography and video, and working with their marketing departments to provide their content.
Brilliant. And you mentioned Terry there. So the two of you set up the business together. Yeah, you're co-founders of the business. That's correct, isn't it?
Exactly. Yes. Terry and I set up the business 3.5 years ago now.
Okay.
Yeah. And we were both independent, really. So we were both doing a similar thing. We were doing commercial photography. Terry was focused on commercial photography. I was doing video and photography. Yeah. And one of the big problems that you get is obviously there's only you, and it becomes a little bit. So we both were aware of the fact that we needed to probably expand a little bit and get some more people in. So we decided to come together. That made sense because then you've got all your marketing under one roof. You've got everything. We can do more. There's more of us. We can go and film 2 of us on site without having to employ people to come with you. So there was a cost saving there. We focused on different markets as well. So that made a lot of sense because we weren't bringing in the same customers. So we both brought in a customer base. So we were able to start a business that really was focused on marketing and video photography for marketing. And that's where we came up really with the concept of visual marketing, and the two of us set out about doing that.
So definitely want to explore that a little bit more. So and I'll come back to you in a minute, but how long were you working on your own then before you, running your own business, if you like, before you combined forces with Terry?
Realistically, doing the same sort of thing, so heavily into the commercial side of things, just a couple of years, because I had run it. When I left, we should go back a little bit further, actually, because I was in marketing for manufacturing, and I worked for a big manufacturing firm. Yeah. And I did the marketing, and I was very much got involved in the sales as well, because I got moved up into that. So I kind of did a whole role. Yeah. And I got involved in putting the photography together, putting plans together, putting that sort of stuff together, and really enjoyed it. I mean, that was the main thing. I really kind of got an idea of exactly what I was doing. I was good at it. But then the company went through some problems. We hit the recession, and they were looking for people to get. And I'd been thinking, I could do this myself. I could do this myself.
Right.
But the opportunity came about, and I thought, well, if I don't take this opportunity now, I never will.
Yeah.
But of course, I knew about photography. I knew video. I could dabble in it, but I didn't know. I wasn't sort of qualified. I hadn't done anything apart from just myself. So I knew I had to get qualified. So I did that, and I went and did courses on photography. And well, of course, like everything, you can't just run in and get the Nike contract.
Can't you? Isn't it? I thought it was.
I just turn up with a camera and go, I'll do this. So you have to learn a little bit about the industry first. And I did weddings. I did all sorts of things for a long, long time to really learn how this worked, how it does, how to do it. And that's the best way. I think that's how a lot of people work. You know, they go out onto the wedding circuit, and you learn your trade, you learn the camera inside out, you know what to do. And then it was at that point, once I'd done that for a couple of years, it's kind of difficult to get out of weddings because you book them 3 years in advance.
Yes.
I stuck with it for another 3 years. I decided, right, I need to get back into the commercial market. So that's exactly what I did. I decided to get back into that commercial market. So I started to wind down the weddings slowly over the period of time, and then eventually till I got none. And then that gave me the opportunity to really focus on the commercial business. And I think at first, like any business, you just take anything that comes through the door. Yeah, you really just go because you're thinking, I just need business. I just need some money in the business. So anything that came and anything I could grab, went to networking meetings, went up to Find It in Worcester, to anybody and everybody. And then you realise that a lot of the time, sometimes you're just being a busy fool and you're not working as well or as smartly as you possibly can. And that's when we sort of came into, I started to bring it down to more focusing on certain industries and doing the video work, doing the photography work as well. And the whole lot was sort of coming together nicely, but there was only me to do it. So I was running out on that. So that's really where at that particular point is when I decided, Terry and I got together and said, Terry said, I've got the same problem. Yeah. So if we come together, we can solve that problem initially and hopefully grow some kind of business. And we both at the particular age where we needed to grow a business that we could build into something that would be a saleable business rather than just a little lifestyle business. We wanted something that we could really pick on a model and grow. That's where we are.
So you're both similar age?
We're both similar age, yes. I think I'm slightly older, but
okay.
We don't talk about that.
So does that mean you've got more shares in the business then?
Sadly not, no. I should have a word about that, really.
So how did you decide, because you both had your own businesses when you came together. So was it just a case of a handshake and let's go 50-50 and grow it from here? Or was there a bit more of a discussion to it than that? It
was a lot like that because, we decided on 50-50 model because I don't think it works anyway otherwise. Yeah. If one got bigger interest, I don't think it works, especially when we're starting from the ground. And we made the decision to wind both of our own businesses up, which wasn't too difficult because they weren't limited companies or anything. So that was quite easy. So we wound up our individual businesses and set up DT and decided to make it a limited business and go from there with 50-50. Okay.
You mentioned you come in with slightly different skills. So how did you divvy up, if you like, or make the best use of your particular skill sets?
I think just talking honestly to each other, really, and being honest about what you're good at. Yeah. Terry was obviously a more production-based type guy, so he's very good at the technical aspects. So naturally, he got the IT because he used to run an IT business many times ago.
Yeah.
And then we decided, okay, should we split up marketing? I've been in marketing for a long, long time, so I'll take on the marketing aspect of the business. Sales, we both tend to do because we put those and we said, well, okay, you can do your own sort of sales area, and we push into those markets. And then we divvied it up because I had a history with manufacturing and engineering. I really took focus of that.
Yep.
And that's what I'm doing now. Although we can both go out and do the jobs, that's fine. And he has engineering clients that he deals with on a daily basis. I take up the marketing and the focus on that specific aspect.
Yeah.
And then Terry looks after other sides of things. So he very much the local authorities. He's got some other ideas on. He does a lot of sort of clients that are product-based clients. So he does a lot of product photography and that side of things. But we kind of both do, but he focuses on that and sets that aside. So yeah, and also it was the strengths of business. You know, I was very creative, and Terry was very productive. So we're both a little bit, but he was more productive and I was slightly more creative. So it was kind of like it was easy for us to say, okay, well, you can be creative director and I'll be production director.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think we make decisions 50-50 on everything.
And has that led to any tensions? I mean, if one of you is taking a bit more time off in a given month, or how do you manage that side of things?
I never really had that. I mean, yes, there are tensions, there are daily tensions, of course.
I know it's mainly around who's eating the sweets and the cookies, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot of that, yeah. But no, we have a good relationship on that. And I think we both got the same thing. We want to make the business work. We want to, you know, I don't think we try and bring a little bit of rivalry in. It's always good to have a little bit of rivalry. You know, we've started doing monthly targets and things like that to try and bring in a little bit of rivalry.
Yeah.
You know, you'll go, well, I've hit my targets this month. Where are you? I'm like, okay, all right, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
It's great because and it does work because it gives you a little bit of that kick up the bum, whereas you just be getting on otherwise. And I think you need that in business. Yeah. It helps the other one to give the other one a kick a little bit, and we have that rivalry, and yeah.
So I think that's it's one of the things that we've seen with a number of people in the past, in that coming together as a pair can add a lot to the growth of the business, because you can feed off of each other. It's a lonely place to be, isn't it, as a business owner?
Can be, yes.
on our own. So you've got that. What else would you say are some of the differences and some of the good things about having the pair of you in the business together compared with you being on your own beforehand?
I think definitely the good things are that you've got somebody to bounce those ideas off. You're not alone. So, you know, you come up with a lot of ideas for various things. Oh, we should do this, we should do that. They're not always good ideas. And it's not until you try and explain them to your colleague that you realise, you get halfway through and you go, yeah, that was a bad idea, scrap that. And you can both sort of laugh about it. And it's also good, you know, because I think, you know, there's nothing bad between us. So, you know, if you can sit there and talk about an idea, and I can quite rightfully go, well, that's not going to work. And there's no sort of, what do you mean? It's kind of like, okay, you know, I'll go back and sit down and try and make it work and make sense of it. But if I can't make sense of it, then it's a bad idea. And there's a bit of that goes on. We put ideas together, but we're very much aligned. You know, we have meetings every now and then, every month or so, or a couple of months, where we just put everything up on the board and make sure that we're on track for what we're going to do, and make sure we're going in the right direction.
So you made that sound as if there can be every month or every couple of months. Do you have a time slot for them pre-arranged? Do they happen regularly?
They don't happen as regularly as they should, but yes, they do. They do happen, because we'll sort of pull in and go, make sure that we're on track. We have a regular meeting every week.
Yeah. Okay.
So we have a meeting every Monday morning. We go through everything, and we have an issues list where we put stuff on, and then we discuss those issues in the meeting. Saves us trying to jump on stuff during the week. We get on with the production, we get on with the market, we set out what we're going to do, and then if issues come about, we discuss them on the Monday morning. If sometimes they get put down the list, they're not really issues, they're just gripes or groans. Sometimes they're big issues, and we think, we need to jump on that straight away. Yeah, and I think that works. And then every now and then we'll get together and just make sure everything's running as it should, and business model's right. And does it need tweaking? Do we need to change this?
So it's great having each other as a sounding board. Helps a little bit, I guess, with the motivation as well, a little bit, doesn't it? If one of you's maybe off the ball a little bit, can help you with just sort of setting targets and things like that. What sort of things frustrate you, maybe, that of working together? I'm sure it's not all wonderful.
Yeah, no, I don't want to go into them too much, but yeah, of course. I'm sure Terry. I'm a very irritating person, so I'm sure Terry has exactly the same irritations that I irritate him. Yeah. I think, yeah.
I tell you what, rather than get the risk of it getting personal, if we were advising somebody else that was thinking about partnering up with somebody, yeah, what do we think some of the key things they should consider might be?
Have a look at how aligned you are with the person. Are you the same sort of person? Because if you're very, very different, I think it's going to cause issues.
Yeah.
And I think maybe we did actually work together on quite a few projects before we did this.
Okay. Yeah.
Which made sense. We didn't just jump straight in. Oh yeah, I've got a similar business, bang, and we go and work together.
Yeah.
We worked together a few times before that happened. So just make sure the person that you're going to be going into business with, yeah, you understand them, you know them, yeah, and you can fall out with them. But I mean, because there are going to be times where it's going to be get a little bit argumentative in the office. That can be a good thing, because I think it should happen. Disagreements are going to happen, but I think as long as you understand the person that they're similar alignments. And one thing we did that I think is important is we put up on the board, yeah, and we went through what we want.
Right.
What do we want out of this business?
Yeah, good.
What do we want to achieve out of this business? How do we see it happening? Yeah. And I think that really helped, because then you've got to think, well, okay, if I wanted a lifestyle business and Terry wanted something that he can build and sell, it's never going to work.
Yeah.
And vice versa. So we went through all these alignments and both agreed on the principles of the style of business that we wanted to do and the period of time we wanted it to run and what we wanted to get out of it.
Very good. Did you capture that in any way?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And how often does that come up in some of the conversations?
Review it. This is when we sit down, we go through and we just make sure that we're both doing the same things, because there's a certain type of thing you can fall out of love with, and so I'm bored of that. I don't want to do that anymore or whatever. So you just need to make sure that that's still aligned and you're still working you're still working to the same goals, the same with the same ideas.
Yeah, good. And so, what other advice would we give to people working closely together? What about how do you handle things when you do have a disagreement? Terry might want to go one direction, you might want to go another. How do you handle that sort of discussion?
Normally, we call a meeting and we discuss it. Yeah. And we'll discuss what's happening. I think that's the only way to do it, because it can be brought up as you can start a sort of, oh no, we should do this, no, we should do this, no, we should. Okay, but the way forward is to call a meeting, put our cards on the table and try and find the best solution through it. Yeah. Because if you don't plan, and then you can both plan it in your heads exactly what you wanted it and the way you see it, and you usually can find a very good compromise. And I think and knowing that you're going to have to compromise and you're going to have to give in some things and not being pig-headed and no, why is it the only way, bang your fist on the table, is really the only way. I think if you're going to run a partnership, you're going to run a business with other people, is really the only way to go forward.
Does with equal standing, does either one of you tend to have the final say, or can you envision a situation where it might be a kind of a black or white, yes or no, moving forwards, and one of you wants to do one more thing and the other one the other? How would you deal with that?
We haven't actually faced that, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like, the compromise method tends to work quite well, really.
Yeah.
We're lucky in that we both want the same goals. So, but I mean, we argue about the ways to get to those goals. But ultimately, we'll try one thing. We might say, well, let's try it your way for a bit and see how it goes.
So let's fast forward. Let's imagine a situation. A few years down the line, you've been doing this for now, 10 or 15 years, and one of you's fallen out of love with it a little bit. How would you, have you set anything up in advance, or how would you manage that? Do you think that sort of future discussion?
Yeah, I think we would. You'd have to sell we're in it for the long haul, but the other one would have to either buy them out or you wind down the company. I mean, that's quite simple with anybody, really. That's the out clause.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you'd set anything up in advance to sort of preempt how you might handle that. But it sounds like not. No, you haven't got a shareholders agreement in place or something like that would address that.
Well, we've got an agreement that one would buy the other one out.
Right. Okay. Fine. Good. Because sometimes people will define how that would work, and then what sort of options kick into place at that time, and how the business would be valued. Just wondering if you'd gone to that extent or not.
I think once we get to a certain point where it's we need to readdress it. But at the moment it's not at that point where it's a massive. If it was getting into the millions and millions of pounds.
Yeah. No. Great. Good. So lots of great things about working together and obviously working as that team. So if you were to go back to the 3 years when you set up, what, if anything, would you have done differently at that time?
I think, with hindsight, there are probably quite a few things that we've found out since as we've been working through sort of client bases and so on. It's very difficult to say, because I think we set up and did 1 year, and then we had COVID hit.
Right. Yeah.
So that turned everything on its head overnight anyway.
Yeah.
And we changed the model of what we're doing to suit COVID, and we got through that for 2 years.
Yeah.
Now we're coming out again. So now we're going back to the original model. And then we're going, actually, we need to tweak this a little bit. We need to change this. We need to have more recurring income, because that's a better thing. So we've looked at that option at the moment, and we're thinking, okay, we need to start building up the recurring income, and we need to build in more. We've got some really good clients, and we need to build up a few more, but really focus on the client base. Yeah.
So what sort of things did you have to do differently over lockdown? I guess you weren't able to go on site so often. So how did you cope with not being able to physically go out to locations so much?
We did a lot of. We actually came up with the model to do the TV shows.
Okay.
Which we luckily floated to win, and they said yes, that's a very good idea. And the idea was really to replace the events that they were going to do, because a lot of people were doing physical events, couldn't do them. So we worked out on a model that we could film. Some of the interviews and stuff like that would have had to have been done on Zoom.
Yeah.
And we had to get by that. And then some of the other stuff that some of it could be actually filmed, as long as we could social distance with cameras. We could still get by. We could still film them. We could still take photographs, as long as we kept distance. So we used that model to film some of the interviews, to do some of the presentations, to do that, and we managed to put together a whole series for them during lockdown, or 2 series actually, and a podcast.
So it's a bit like taking a newsletter, but making it into more of a TV channel sort of update rather than a dry blog newsletter sort of thing.
Yeah, well, it allowed them to engage So they weren't able to easily engage and with people and bring in new clients. So they had to really try and think, okay, well, we used to have the events and lots of people turned up to them and then they'd sign up from there. We haven't got that now. So we were able to produce these TV shows, which enabled them to then pump that out through YouTube to these clients and talk to them. And they had providers and trainers, and we spoke to companies, bigger companies with opportunities, all about what it is that Win did.
Yeah.
And that was very useful for them, because it gave them a model to be able to get recruits in and carry on doing their business. Because without that, they hadn't got anything. So yeah, it was a win-win really for both of us.
Very good. Okay. So you adapted your services to get you through lockdown, keep you going, but it sounds like that put a bit of dampener on your original growth plans. So you're now back out of lockdown, touch wood, and hopefully it's behind us now. So what's back on what's the direction hold now for DT Studios?
Very much building on the manufacturing and engineering.
Okay.
Very much from my side as well, because that's showing the biggest growth to start off with.
Right.
So yeah, we need to keep that going. We need to get that. We need to get some more firms on board. What we've got is great. And yeah, we were talking this morning about the 10 client process, which is something we're looking into and thinking, well, okay, yeah, you can really service your 10 clients.
Right.
Very, very well. And yeah, so we're focusing on that. We're looking to try and grow the business that way. And if we can bring more in, then we can take more people on.
Yep.
And as we do that, we grow the business organically by bringing in new clients, bringing in people to do it. And then ideally, one of the big stumbling blocks that we have and a lot of businesses have in their growth pains is working on the business and in the business.
Mm-hmm.
And because of what we do, we have to work very hard in the business. With all the editing and going out and filming, which then limits the amount of time you can work on the business, where I should be going out trying to get new clients, doing the marketing. So yeah, you've got a bit of but it's not massive, but it helps. And if you can grow your business so we can bring in those new clients, we need to focus on doing that. Then eventually, once you get those on board, you've got a bit more room to probably bring somebody in to do that work so that you can go out and get the next client and you start to organically grow.
Mm. And you've recently taken on somebody, I think, haven't you? Yes, we have. Yeah, we've taken on Charlotte's joined us, and she's focusing a lot on social media. Okay.
And she's a trainee, so she's apprentice. So she's focusing doing our social media marketing for us to start off with while she's doing her training. But then she's also looking to work to go out and do for our clients. We can also do the social media for them as well. So she'll be instrumental in implementing that.
So what have you learned about then taking on somebody else? Because the two of you, presumably, even before setting up DT Studios, you were working together a bit, so you got to know each other's way of working, and now you've got somebody else coming in, somebody new. How's that changed things? A
lot. It's changed things a lot. Yeah, I think also the focus is, I've got somebody else to look after. So,
yep.
There's always that sort of worry on the back of your mind.
Yep.
Yeah, So there's that side of things. There's then obviously you've got employees, so we've got to take a lot more in. So there's a lot more, HR. We've got to think about that. We've got to think about time off, organising their time. Not only that, they're training, so we have to give them time off for training and think about that. So it's changed our way of thinking, and we have to put it as it's another thing that we have to put a lot of focus into that as well. Putting processes and procedures into place.
Yeah.
Making sure that they're written down and adhered to.
Okay.
So yeah, you'd be amazed. It's just like, having somebody I've always worked for myself or worked for other people. So now taking on somebody is a big step.
Yeah. So how have you handled that? Are you just managing that between the two of you, or how are you managing all of these changes?
We are. Ultimately, she works for responsibility of myself.
Right.
Okay. Although Terry gets in a lot, she does a lot of work for Terry. Terry helps out a lot. He's also been involved in the HR side of things.
Yeah.
Ensure that that's up to speed. And then I've been looking after her training and her day-to-day running of the social media and that side of things. So yeah, we split responsibilities.
Yeah, so things have changed quite a lot from when you and Terry then set up the business those 3 years ago. So what sort of lessons overall then would you say, looking back over those 3 years, might you have done differently? I mean, obviously been more focused, I think, more quickly. Yeah. Although we were thrown into the fact that we just had to diversify and do things, differently. Yeah. There were always things but I think it's very difficult to be structured like that. If you set up again and knew what you knew, then you would have done it, but you didn't know. Indeed. So it's always one of those,
found it out as you were working.
Yeah.
And I think
hindsight,
being more focused on a specific industry, I think,
right,
would have been one of the things. Being focused on that specific industry at the start and going, this is what we do, these are our clients, and this is how and these are the services we offer to them. And I think narrowing it all down would have been the one thing, rather than trying to, firefight and take anything that came your way.
Yeah.
But I think it's always a difficult argument because, when you start a business, you do take anything because you need to get that money in, because you need to pay yourselves, you need to pay the rent, you need to pay everything. So yeah, there is that difficulty. But that decision, I think, I would say, well, we're just going to focus. These are our clients, and maybe pick like 10 people. These are going to be our clients. We've got 10 clients, and that's it. We focus on those, and we grow the business from there. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's a difficult challenge for us all, but often you're absolutely right. If we can be disciplined about that focus and really do very well at it, what does it take to do that bit really, really well, is often better than even taking something that looks like it's going to give us a bit more money initially, but focusing for the long term and building up that capability. So, what would you say then? Because you're in quite a competitive marketplace, competitive industry in terms of doing photography and videography and general, even if we just said general marketing. So what is it that differentiates you from your competition?
I think is both of us really, but is the knowledge of marketing.
Okay.
Because although we're good photographers, both of us, are very good photographers. Yeah, we're also creatives, so we can work in visual areas, and we can work with in video, putting videos together.
Yeah,
I think what differentiates us, because there's a lot of people can do that as well. There's a lot of good people out there who can produce video very nicely, do some nice stuff. Yeah, and you can learn it quite easily off YouTube. Yeah, and various areas now, there are lots of sites. I think what makes a difference is, though, with me is my understanding of marketing.
Okay.
In my sector, it's knowing what to do for a client that's going to have success and going to get reward.
Okay.
And I think that's the very niche specific that really differentiates you from other people, because you've got all of those things in one. And it's very much the same with Terry as well, because he does have that ability. He has run companies before. He knows what to expect. So yeah, and that's the differentiation between us and just somebody who's into photography and video.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're not just a sort of couple of guys that like marketing and, you know, you're trying to tag on the video photography. Equally, you're not just a couple of guys that can take some photographs and do a bit of video and not sure about the marketing. You're coming from that technical competency and creative competency of being able to produce great video work, but with the ultimate aim of giving the outcome for the client that they are using it to generate more engagement, more contact, hopefully more leads then that are coming through that from the marketing aspect.
And I think, yes, exactly that. And that's the key. It's generating more leads, because ultimately that's what you're trying to get. Yeah. And I think what we do when we talk to a client, is we go back to basics. Yeah. And we say, what are you trying to achieve with this?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you trying to achieve, and how do we get there? Okay. And what's the process that we use to get there?
Yeah.
So I think taking it back and then probably doing a little bit of research, understanding in the marketplace, what are other people doing? What are they doing that works, and what are they doing that doesn't work? Yeah. And putting that in place before you start anything really with the client. Yeah. And then trying to understand it and say, actually, what's going to really work for you is case studies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you need to build confidence, because it's your clients don't have confidence in you. But we've only know that through research and talking to them and understanding that. It might be with a new product, that we're taking this new product to market, but, and we say, well, okay, who are the marketplace? Where are they? What do they like? What do they want to know? Yeah. What does it actually physically do, and what's going to make them want to buy this? And I think it's understanding all of that and having the background to be able to do that gives you, that helps the client. So it's not just producing a video, it's producing a video that's going to do something for them.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. So what do you love most about what you do, Doug? Creativity,
I think is one of the real joys. I love the finished product.
Yeah.
And you put something together and you plan it, and then you work all the way through it, and then you get to the final product. So you've created something from really nothing.
Yeah.
And then seeing the results from that. But it's really the creativity. I love being creative. I love getting involved in something, and editing and the filming on the day. It can be quite stressful. But that's what I really love out of this. It's getting involved in the creativity of companies and understanding the companies, and then just it's fun to me.
Yeah, good. And what frustrates you the most then about what you do?
Financials. I hate financial stuff.
Yeah.
It's a necessary evil. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doing. Financial stuff, doing the figures, putting packages together, putting all that sort of stuff together, doing all of that. But the thing is I listened to somebody the other day on a radio program I was listening to about business, and he was saying, like, it's people who say, like, do what you love, just don't focus, just, don't get involved. I don't love that, so I'm not going to do it. He said, you're not really going to make it in business, because there's going to be a lot that you don't want to do.
So you wouldn't be the first creative to be frustrated by doing all the financials of the numbers. So how have you coped with that then, acknowledging what you've just said, which is it's got to be done? So, how have you managed to get around that?
Passed it to Terry.
Right.
Should we agree with that? No, it's something you've got to do. You've got to go through the figures. You've got to chase clients for money. You've got to do, I hate all that, but no, we have to do it. And the only thing you've got to do is by setting aside some time. And I usually find I take the model of eat that frog.
Right.
Yeah. You can get in the morning, and it's easy for me to say, I can get creative and get straight into a video that I'm editing, and I'll pick up where I left off and come up with great ideas on that. But no, I think really your first thing in the day is to get out what you need to do, chase some money, send some emails, have a look at the finances, and it's
good bit of advice, because you can absolutely guarantee if you do it the other way around, it'll
Won't
snowball
get done.
the next day, won't it? And then the next day.
Next day, and then like somebody will be shouting at you.
Yeah, good, great bit of advice. So, where do you guys want to be in the next? If we're having this discussion in 5 years' time, then with the hope that there's not another pandemic or something, where would you want to be in 5 years' time? What would good look like?
Good would look like we would have a team around us. I'd like to grow it to between 5 and 10 people.
Okay. Yeah.
I'd like to have a team of, a mixed team of photographers, editors, and marketing people in the business that we can really sort of, that can be holding their own and bringing, not only just bringing business into us, but also, helping us grow the business.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's really where we want to be. So that I can focus more, and then that'll allow me to focus more on the business side of things as well and grow it.
Yeah. And what's the fundamental thing that's going to help you get there, or conversely might get in the way of getting there, do you think?
I think the biggest issue you've got at the moment is workload, and it's distributing that. But that's, we can get around that. So yeah, I think that's going to be the biggest stumbling block is sort of workload, and making sure that you can get out and grow the business, but also doing the work for that period of time where you're going to have to do it. And it's, as you talk about those valleys of death, it's avoid that's really going to take that workload before you can bring somebody else in.
And you're also because you're in a creative industry, the temptation and almost the desire is you're creating something new every time, aren't you? So you've got all of that creative time that goes into something that then maybe potentially is only used once or for one campaign maybe. What sort of things have you thought about doing from more of a systemizing the business, or in some words people like to use the word productizing the business? What sort of things have you thought around that side?
Yeah, there are certain things and processes that we put in place now. So yeah, being able to do, because there's finite cost you can charge really, because of the marketplace dictates what a brand video, what a case study you can charge for them. So you have to have processes in place to be able to produce these things. And yeah, we can. The idea is that we have a minimal time or a specific time that we spend on it, and we time that. So if it's half a day editing, we try and stick to that.
Yeah.
Get it done in that half a day.
Yeah. Great.
So,
and you mentioned as well trying to create some recurring revenue type models as well, I think is on your plan, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. I think that's key. It's not something a lot of people are used to in our industry, but with content provision for social media, and this being a lot of clients asking for this and looking at it, I think there is on there, because that's kind of a regular model that they're going to be using something they're going to be using on a regular basis, and they need this content and they need the provision. So yeah, that's something that we're working on at the moment, and I've got that in place. Good.
And obviously as a marketing company, I try to ask this of everybody that I talk to on ScaleUp Radio, but what sort of things work for you from a lead generation aspect?
From a lead generation, I focus on social media. Yeah. Tends to be a big area, and engaging with existing clients, right? Engaging with prospective clients, and engaging with people who might be able to introduce us to new prospective clients.
And what sort of things do you do to try and engage them more with prospective clients? So you said social media. So how do you go from putting out a social media post to getting a conversation going and engaging with them?
I think you've got to do this. There's a certain amount of, you've got to engage with your client, or really have a selection of who your type of client is, understanding exactly who they are. And then you can use a good product we use, because it's ideal for our industry, is LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And we can then target and start to build up a relationship with those people on social media. So we can follow them content, we can start to talk to them and follow their content and comment and build up that way. Then you can start to feed your social media into them. So we don't use it to sell, but we use it to inform, and to tell people what we're up to, what we're doing, and that we're there and engaging with them, which is really what you need to do. You need to start telling them how it is we do stuff. So we do a lot with us. It's a lot of behind the scenes.
Yeah.
For my clients, it would be more the processes that they use. Okay. So machining, or how they machine, or how they use a certain type of press or whatever to produce the products. Yeah. Because people are interested in this sort of stuff, and it gets a lot of engagement. So by building up that engagement, you're keeping yourself in the forefront of their mind, which is building that relationship. And then when they've next got usage, or they've got a requirement to use something, you need to be on the forefront of their mind.
Brilliant. Good. So I think you've kind of answered this already, but again, something I like to ask everyone, if you go back to your younger self, what would your advice be? You mentioned earlier focusing. Would you stick with that, or is it something else you'd add in here?
No, I think focusing on the specifics. I think in a lot of elements of my life, going back to younger, I think it's very much, but with hindsight, it's easy to say that.
Absolutely. So you've already mentioned the idea of eat that frog. Any books or podcasts that you would recommend?
How to Become a Key Person of Influence was one I really enjoyed.
Brilliant. All right. Well, we'll include that in the show notes.
Thank you.
Any particular apps and things that you found really useful?
In our industry, we use an app called, or it's a program and an app called Millernote.
All right.
And not a lot of people know about it, but we tried Asana and all of the others, but this just really works for creatives. It's a really, really good app. Suggest they have a look at that. It's very useful.
Brilliant. All right. Sounds very good. Thank you very much, Doug. Going to conscious of the time, and I know you've got something else on afterwards. So thank you very much for your time today. Been really, really useful. If people would like to get hold of you or Terry or just DT Studios, what's the best way for them to do that?
You can check out our website, which is dtstudios.co.uk.
Okay.
Or you can contact us on info@dtstudios.co.uk.
Brilliant. Doug, thank you very much indeed for your time today.
Thank you, Kevin.
Don't forget to take a look at www.bizsmarts.co.uk to access a great range of resources to help you in your scale-up journey. So that's bizsmarts.co.uk, which is bizsmarts.co.uk.
This has been a Monkey Pants Productions podcast.